Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is William Heinman. I'm your host, and this is Just Force 911, where we look at how our public officials do their job or completely screw it up. Hey, tonight is one from, it's not really police officers, it's bounty hunters. We thought that the cops were scumbags. These guys are a whole new level of scumbag. If they had an IQ of 10, I'd be shocked and surprised. I'm a loss for words. Hey, do me a favor real quick while you're here. If you're new at my channel, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs down, tells me how I'm doing for you guys. Hit the leave a comment. Hit the like and share so it helps my algorithms. And this one tonight is brought to us by Avaya Israel, who is We the People University. And he's the one that is hosting this video. So let's check this out because, I thought cops were bad. These guys are off the rail, man. These are wannabe cops. So these are the ones we don't want to be cops. Okay, guys, let's check this out.
Through all kind of stuff in my room, sheetrocks flying and hit me, glasses flying and hit me. I thought I was gonna die.
Bounty hunters were at the wrong house, and when they broke in, the bullets started flying.
Police. Welcome back to We the People University. We have a crazy episode for you today. What if I told you that an everyday Joe, a normal citizen, can just go to the store, the gun store, buy a gun, and become a bounty hunter? And what if I told you that these guys get it wrong more than the cops? They show up at the wrong address almost every time. Now, how do they keep doing this? Oh, because they're getting their tips a lot of times from Facebook. Not only are they getting their tips from Facebook, they're actually getting into shootouts with citizens. They're killing citizens. They're shooting at citizens, and they're going inside of the home of citizens without warrants. And this has become a big thing, but we're not really hearing a lot about it unless you're kind of caught in the crossfire. Won't say too much. Guys, tell me what you think about this, because this is ugly. Let's watch this.
Our lead investigator, Scotty Hunter, has been tracking complaints about bounty hunters here in Louisiana and across the country.
It's broad daylight when chaos breaks out inside a convenience store.
Get up!
They're not police officers!
This woman, hogtied and on the ground, was picked up by Louisiana bounty hunters in Missouri after she missed a court date on misdemeanor charges. At some point during the ride back to Louisiana, she told those agents she needed to use the bathroom. Once inside, she desperately begs for help.
Can you please help me? Can you please help me? Can you call the police, please? These are not police officers.
Body camera video shows one of the two agents whip out his stun gun, hitting the woman multiple times.
Ow! Ow!
Then get up. I'm not going to say it again. You're under arrest. Get up. I don't need to be a cop to arrest you.
At one point, the other agent even pulls her hair.
Get out! I'm gonna get up! No, you're not!
Stop pulling her hair.
And when she asks to see their ID, they pop her again with the business end of that stun gun.
I want to see your identification. Ow!
Get up.
Ow!
One more time.
Oh my
Get up.
God.
This is all on camera.
After dragging her outside, the bounty hunters curse the woman out and try to force her into a car as workers from the store try to come to her aid.
Stupid
Ow! Ow! That is ridiculous. What she's doing is What's your name? Wait, give me your identification.
But it's those two agents who now find themselves in trouble with the law, slapped with federal kidnapping charges. The male was just sentenced to 10 years in prison, while the female got 5 years of probation.
So I'm wondering why the female only got 5 years of probation when she was the one pulling the hair and basically attacking just as much as the guy with the taser, but she only got 5 years probation. And I'm also wondering why it was so easy to sentence these guys, but we see it being so difficult to sentence a cop when they're doing the same exact thing. But if you think that's bad, watch the guy that's coming up, the maniac who got his hands on a gun and it's like he's ready to shoot everyone. Just keep watching.
If your house is surrounded, we will come in this mother whether you like it or not.
Back here in Louisiana, surveillance video picked up this raid gone wrong. This time, agents show up outside Jofina Kelly's home. After surrounding the house, one of the agents armed with a large gun goes off the rails.
No, you disrespect Now, you got understanding what I'm saying. You don't want to hear a word I'm saying.
The agents are looking for her son. The only problem, Kelly says, he does not live there.
You don't like Whitey, huh? You piece of
I was lost for words because I was like, who does this? Like, who does this and doesn't have to be accountable?
Was there ever a point where you felt like you or your family's safety was in jeopardy?
Yes, the entire time. Especially when he was in the back saying, you mother gonna let me in here.
So if someone's screaming at you and they're holding a gun, even if they don't say explicitly that I'm going to harm you or shoot you with their weapon, this still can be a serious charge depending on your jurisdiction, because they're putting you in fear of your safety while they're holding a weapon. And there are several charges that this guy could have been charged with. I'm not sure why he wasn't charged, but charges like brandishing a weapon, even if the person doesn't explicitly threaten to use the gun. The act of displaying a firearm in a way that could cause fear or intimidation can be considered brandishing a weapon. In many places, this is a crime, especially if it causes someone to feel threatened. Menacing. In some jurisdictions, if someone acts in a manner that causes another person to fear for their safety, such as having a gun out while being aggressive or screaming, they could be charged with menacing. This doesn't require an explicit threat, just a reasonable fear of harm. Also, disorderly conduct. Cops use this all the time. Depending on the circumstances, someone who is aggressively shouting and has a weapon in their possession could also be charged with disorderly conduct, especially if they are causing a disturbance or putting others in fear. And also unlawful display of a firearm. In some places, it is illegal to display a firearm in a manner that could cause alarm, regardless of whether the gun is pointed or an explicit threat is made. So regardless of if a threat is made or not, if an individual is holding a gun and they're acting aggressive and they're making you fear for your safety, this can still be seen as a threatening or a dangerous situation, and charges should have been filed against this individual. Let's keep watching.
2 months ago, bounty hunters also surrounded this Baton Rouge home looking for a man the homeowner tells me she has never heard of.
They gave me a name that I'd never heard in my life. So I was like, no, this is not their residence. So they gave me an address, which was the wrong address.
The woman, who did not want to be identified for fear of retaliation, says she was in the bathroom when she heard banging and yelling on several of her doors and windows.
I was just thinking that they could have kicked my door and put a gun on me and me not knowing what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I was scared, real shaken.
When they realized they had the wrong place, the woman tells me the agents took off like nothing even happened.
It was just horrifying. And I can't get it out of my head. It's really like traumatizing to me, seriously.
These are just 3 different examples of bounty hunters taking things too far or just flat out getting it wrong here in Louisiana.
We go search the house and make sure he ain't here.
Bounty hunters work on behalf of bail bond agencies and try to catch those who are skipping out on their day in court.
I'm not playing with you. I'm done.
Here in Louisiana, it's up to the Department of Insurance to make sure they do things by the book. It's not just a problem in Louisiana. This Houston man was terrified when he says bounty hunters barged into his home and shot up the place. You can see the bullet holes left behind in what he calls an unhinged attack.
They shot through the walls, through all kind of stuff in my room, sheetrocks flying and hit me, glasses flying and hit me. I thought I was going to die.
Bounty hunters were at the wrong house, and when they broke in, the bullets started flying.
One of the guys said, you better not call no police or I'm going to shoot you too.
So again, bounty hunters, we have witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, coercion. They're telling him, you better not call the police. Don't call the cops because we just kicked in your door. We didn't have a warrant. Actually, we had the wrong address. And we also got into a shootout with you. And yeah, you better not call the cops. How are these guys getting away with this? Well, we're seeing a couple of them, or a few of them, are being arrested. But the charges we're seeing these bounty hunters receive, I don't understand why they're not a slew of charges. They're getting 1 or 2 charges. One bounty hunter got 10 years, another one got probation. This should be like a life sentence, if you ask me. At least 20 years, 25 years maximum. I mean, if it was me or you, it would be. You know, all the charges they could rack up with these fake cops kicking in doors and threatening citizens. It's crazy.
The 3 bounty hunters involved in this case were charged with felony burglary. In Dallas, this cell phone video captured a shootout that sent customers, including children, scrambling to safety.
Greenville, at the Nissan dealership, there's been a shooting. I'm hiding in the bathroom. Please hurry.
Agents showed up after tracking the man to the dealership. When they moved in with guns drawn, that man took out his own gun, sparking the shootout that left glass shattered and customers rattled. In this case, both bounty hunters and the man they were tracking all ended up dead. And if you think it's just everyday people being targeted, think again. This middle-of-the-night raid on a home in Phoenix, Arizona started rough but quickly fizzled out when agents realized they were mistakenly at the home of the police chief.
We believe there were 11 individuals that were on scene for this recovery, and quite frankly, they were at the wrong house.
One of the agents who showed up here was arrested and did not even have a license to do the work. He later admitted he and the rest of his crew, including an 11-year-old boy, were operating off a tip on Facebook.
So a bounty hunter shows up at the home of a police chief, did not have a license, which is why I said earlier, you could just go to the store, get a gun, and become a bounty hunter. These guys are out working, operating, and just going on Amazon, buying a vest, going to a gun store, buying a gun, and saying, hey, I'm a bounty hunter. All right. They're in car lots, car departments, shooting with citizens, and they kill the citizen. And I guess he shot them as well. But this is what bounty hunters are doing. These guys are going crazy. And we thought cops were bad, and they are. But these bounty hunters may be worse.
This is very problematic because what they do is hidden in plain sight until something goes awry.
Why are we seeing so many cases where these bounty hunters are just getting it wrong?
That's a really great question. And bounty hunting is a bill security agents. It's a very little understood and actually hidden part of the justice system.
Thaddeus Johnson, a former police officer turned professor at Georgia State University, blames a lack of oversight for the problems with certain bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters are simply private citizens who oftentimes are unregulated, hired by private companies who carry out quasi-police and paramilitary type of exercises.
Part of the confusion could also come from the wide range of who exactly is tasked with regulating them and what Johnson believes is a lack of training.
I don't necessarily think that people have nefarious intentions who get these things wrong. We just have people who are not qualified, often not regulated, in bad positions.
Sometimes, in Hollywood, they, portray us as being violent thugs, and it really couldn't be further from the truth.
Chuck Jordan is the president of the National Association of Fugitive Recovery Agents and has more than 20 years of experience on the job. He says while there are some bad actors out there, for the most part, their agents follow a code of ethics and guidelines put in place by the states they operate in.
That really is dependent on the different jurisdictions. They all sort of have their own, culture there or their own sort of priorities. What I will say is that, people in our industry, we're subject to the same laws as anyone else. So, if we break the law, we can be prosecuted just like anyone else.
While he admits there are some gaps and room for improvement, anyone who has an issue with a bounty hunter can file a complaint with their state and with the National Association.
We do have a process, actually right through our website. There's a form they can click on to file a complaint against a member. And that is something that we look into. And there are times where we actually remove people from our organization if we find that they're not conducting themselves properly.
Jordan tells me agents typically have to meet certain requirements to keep their licenses current, but how strict the standards are is left up to individual states.
I believe that there are, adequate checks and balances in place. That's not to say that you have the occasional bad apple that you might find in any profession. But that's more the exception than the rule. We don't see a lot of that.
He believes bounty hunters fill a vital role in the community and that most of the good work they do goes unnoticed. As police departments and sheriff's offices across the country face shortages and trouble recruiting and retaining qualified officers, Jordan says bounty hunters step up to the plate and take on the dangerous job.
It used to be that everybody wanted to be a police officer. They could, cherry pick whoever they wanted. And nowadays, they're really struggling to recruit people to do the job because the world is becoming an increasingly volatile place.
But Johnson says when it comes to this kind of work, the name of the game is quality over quantity. And there are some states that have banned bounty hunting altogether, including Illinois, Kentucky, Oregon, and Wisconsin.
Or do you think that that's something that more states might consider doing?
I don't think that this is a thing that we need to disband, but we need to figure out how to regulate and bring them into the fold and perhaps use them for intel as opposed to using their skills or lack thereof in the field.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think it needs to be disbanded. One thing I could not stand when I was working as a police officer was security guards. Give me if you're a security guard out there. I'm only being honest, because in many cases, security guards were the guys who wanted to be a police officer, but for whatever reason, it just never happened. And so therefore, they tried to live out their fantasy through you, and you get the wildest calls for absolutely nothing. And they want you to go on these crazy chases over nothing. And we have to tell these guys, listen, it's not that serious. They're not doing anything wrong. They're fine. Well, same thing with bounty hunters. Because some of these guys wanted to be police officers and now they're able to call themselves a bounty hunter. They have a gun. Now they're going to doors in the homes of citizens, kicking in doors, having shootouts, don't have warrants, and they're just living like a wild, untrained cop. Well, I guess all cops are wild and untrained according to the videos that we share. But the point is this. What we're seeing in bounty hunting is like what we've been seeing in policing, but without any rules attached. And I know you guys are going to say, well, the police don't follow the law either, but they have a law that they ignore. The bounty hunters, they just don't have a law at all. And again, they seem to be even worse than police officers. It's just my opinion. You guys can disagree, but this looks pretty bad to have a shootout in the middle of a car lot, to kick in the door of a citizen's home, and you're at the wrong address and you're having a shootout with him. You're shooting in his house and you're getting your tips from Facebook. Obviously they're wrong. And this is happening like more than half the time, which is crazy. We say here on We the People University, make sure you always record the police. Well, make sure you record the police and the bounty hunters, and make sure you practice your Second Amendment right, because these guys are out of control. All right. There's no need, if you're a law-abiding citizen, to be injured by a crazy calling himself a bounty hunter because his dream was to be a police officer and he's trying to violate your rights for whatever reason. Second Amendment. Hey, I practice it. I encourage you to do as well. Also, record the police. That being said, I'm lost for words. We the People University, signing off.
Okay, guys, so we have police officers that are out of control. Now we got bounty hunters. This just keeps getting better and better. I'll be doing this for the rest of my life. This is crazy. Hey, guys, go over to Via Israel's channel, We the People University. Check him out. He has a ebook that is online. He also has a book that he actually wrote. Pretty good read. And if you guys have any comments, leave them down below. And have a nice evening. Talk to you folks later. Thank you and have a wonderful day.